This is Governor Bob Ehrlich. Good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go! You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics, Dr. Politics, exposing the spin, the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics, Dr. Politics, he calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Oh, Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics, go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics,
Welcome. It is Friday, the 13th of February, 2026. One shopping day left for Valentine's Day.
That's right.
And do you guys remember that spoof movie, Saturday the 14th? It was basically a spoof of Friday the 13th.
No.
They play it on, Sven Gulli plays it every now and then on his show on Saturday night.
Oh, what's it called?
Saturday the 14th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was a really bad movie. I remember it actually had a theatrical release and everything. It was bad, very bad. But yeah, it is, so it's.
I think one of the worst movies ever has got to be Chris Elliott. I usually like Chris Elliott, but his movie Cabin Boy, that's got to be the worst movie ever made.
The worst movie of all times. The one movie I actually thought, why did I spend, this is back when movies were like $2 for a ticket.
Yeah.
Why did I spend $2 to go watch Megaforce?
Yes, I agree.
It was a movie from the 80s. It came around the same time Tron did. And everybody said Tron sucked. Tron wasn't that bad compared to Megaforce. Megaforce was horrible.
Yeah.
It's and I don't think we've seen a movie. We actually had a bunch of bad movies after that. I think that were probably worse than Megaforce. I could probably name a few. I never liked E.T., by the way. I always thought E.T. was rated. And
well, I saw bad movies because, my first wife, she was big into movies, so she'd always want to go see movies. And of course, I would say yes when we were dating, even though in my gut I knew this is going to be a crappy movie. But I didn't say anything. I said, okay, fine, let's go. So I never said no on any of these movies, but a lot of them were bad.
Yeah. So
if you go to enough movies, they're going to be bad movies, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's been a while since I really, there hasn't been.
I haven't seen a movie in years. Let me just confess up front. I've not seen a movie in years. I haven't been to actual
seen any of the Avenger movies.
No, I haven't been 15 years. I don't think I've seen a movie.
You missed Infinity Wars.
For me, the purpose of the movie is it's a date thing, I think, because you don't have to think about too much. It's easy you get a 2-hour break from having to talk to her. So go to a movie. And I think that's the thing with movies, going to the movie theater. It's more of a date thing. So.
Monday, everyone, the Shamrock Shake is back on Monday.
Good news.
Actually, no, not Monday. Tuesday the 17th is what they're saying. This is the launch date. I wonder if people are going to be camping out outside of McDonald's to be first in line to get the Shamrock Shake.
You might. I can see you there.
But
I
you've
like
been
the
talking
release
about
of the
the Shamrock Shake for months.
It's kind of like the release of the new iPhones. You know, people
Chris,
can't.
White talks about a Shamrock Shake 365 days a year.
Yeah, because they should be available 365. McDonald's always does. Years ago, McDonald's had a creamsicle milkshake, orange vanilla. It was really good. They canceled it. Shamrock Shakes are really good, but they should have all 12. I mean, Roy Rogers has a Shamrock Shake type thing, but that's around 365, you know. It's not just for the holiday season.
I once told you, I like when the Shamrock Shake was in a regular cup. It wasn't in that plastic see-through cup. It was in a regular drink cup. I remember those days.
They used to put them in foam cups, styrofoam cups, but in Montgomery County, they banned styrofoam. So, along with bags and.
Well, for me, the one thing I look forward to when McDonald's brings back is the McRib. I'm a big McRib guy.
You and Homer Simpson, you know, the Simpsons had a Krusty Burger used of a rib witch. And Homer would get very upset that it's only a limited time thing. And there's an episode where he's actually joins the rib witch bus. They follow the rib witch from town to town.
Yeah,
But
I think these fast food restaurants, I mean, you know, there are things like the Shamrock Shake that, you know, they make them seasonal. People know it's a limited time thing, and so it continues to keep up the demand. The McRib is the same way. I mean, the pent up demand for the McRib every time they bring it back is huge.
Yeah, oh yeah.
By the way, since we're talking about food, I highly recommend the cherry vanilla soda. It tastes really good.
I think McDonald's has got to be one of the greatest companies, though. They are just so smart in terms of their marketing strategy. I just think they are top notch, cutting edge, really, in so many ways.
Well, if you compare it against Burger King and Wendy's in particular, you know, they just kill you, right? I mean, they pivot, they know what to do. They've made mistakes over the years. They've had some sales lumps, but I mean, Wendy's is kind of restructuring. You know, Burger King is kind of in the middle. They don't know really what they're doing yet. In a lot of ways, but McDonald's continues, you know, to kind of pull out all the stops, and they're very oriented on making sure that the customer has a reason to come back. And there are things, and you know, and they do get copycatted by the other guys. You know, then you look at a Chick-fil-A or Raising Cane's and some of these other guys. You know, kind of a different category to me in a sense, especially when you go, since most of these guys are, if you're specializing in like one type of food, I mean, in terms of your focus is on chicken, you know, Chick-fil-A and Raising Cane's, you know, I think they're beating up on Popeyes, you know, and a lot of the other
Who
guys.
really goes to Popeyes? I don't know anyone that actually goes to Popeyes.
I mean, we go every once in a while, but you know, it's
times. I've sat in a few times.
There used to be one by the old AIM office on Connecticut Avenue. There used to be a Popeyes not too far from there. I remember
that was up the street, right?
Yeah, I remember Brendan used to go there. And I think our friend Matt used to go from time to time. It was next to the Taco Bell, which is no longer there anymore.
I think one of the best fast food restaurants, if they were good, and many of them aren't very good, but if done right, I think Burger King really could be the best. But they're just not usually done right when I go.
I think McDonald's has everything down to a science, frankly. Everything and they have something for everyone. If you're a vegetarian, you can still find stuff there.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, they also have a secret menu. You can get a bagel with cream cheese at McDonald's, but they don't really advertise it.
I didn't know that. Man.
I didn't know that either until when I was working on Ray Kroll's book. You know, they had bagels and cream cheese at McDonald's in Rosedale. But
I had no idea. But you mentioned movies earlier, and now we talk about McDonald's. It reminds me, I did see the Ray Kroc movie. Michael Keaton on Ray Kroc and McDonald's. Great movie. But I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on I guess online. But
did they mention the fact he paid indulgences to the Catholic Church to buy himself his way into heaven?
To do what?
Indulgences. Remember back when you could buy indulgence to kind of erase some of your sins? You know, he actually paid. I want to say he gave a lot of money in indulgence.
For what? To get
I don't know. What's that? No, not for an annulment. This is just indulgence is what used to be done by the Catholic Church, where you pay some money to have your sins go. It's kind of like confession, but you do it with money.
Yeah. The one thing I've heard of with sometimes people like the Careys and the Kennedys probably did in terms of divorce, because they're Catholic, they can't get divorced, but they've paid for an annulment. They gave enough money. The church would grant the annulment. Yeah. So maybe that's similar. And it could have been, Croc was married a couple times, so I don't know if Croc paid for an annulment in any of those. I don't know.
But we've also got, you know, but yeah, I mean, by the way, any fast food place that serves Coke products already has a leg up, frankly. I mean, I like Taco Bell, but I don't like the fact that they don't have Pepsi products. Pizza Hut, I like pizza, but I don't like the fact they have Pepsi products.
Well, the other thing about Taco Bell is I'm seeing less and less Taco Bells. I think so many of them have closed. Or am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think aren't they like expanding Taco Bell? Aren't they like opening up new locations? Because the other one were like with KFC. It's usually like a KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut combo.
Yeah, that's true.
But you got to remember, I mean, the reason, you know, for Taco Bell and Pizza Hut is that they used to be a part of Pepsi.
Yeah, that's right. PepsiCo.
So, you know, when Pepsi spun them off, I mean, I guess part of that whole thing was that they weren't going to completely abandon the mothership. They continued to serve, you know,
isn't Yum Brands the new owners, which is a subsidiary of Pepsi, or they spun
Yum Brands is basically the spin-off from PepsiCo.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's funny, Burger King, so that also used to be owned by Pepsi, but they had Coke products. You can get Coke products at Burger King.
Yeah, I don't remember Burger King being owned by PepsiCo. I know Habit Burger is owned by Yum Brands, but
yeah,
really Habit Burger. I thought they were like I didn't think they were like owned by. I thought they were like local. You know, like Kava.
If you actually go into a Habit Burger, they have on the wall that they were started, I think, in like Santa Barbara by a couple of surfers or something like that, and somewhere along the way, Pepsi bought them up. You know, that's happened. But you won't know that, you know, initially by going in, because there is, you know, companies like that. There's no obvious linkage to that. Habit. If more people knew that Habit Burger was owned by Pepsi, they may not do as well. Now, you know, they try to keep that identity they have as this kind of younger or hipper brand or whatever. So
yeah, it's like Chipotle. You'd never know that they're owned by McDonald's. You know.
That's
well,
right.
that was a long time ago. It's been decades since that happened.
And
but you know, McDonald's didn't start Chipotle's; they bought into it.
Yeah. They bought into it. Yeah.
They actually should have held on to it for a while, because the stock went just crazy until last year. So.
But you know, I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of Chipotle. I think their stuff is subpar. I mean, Chris, you drive around a lot. If you had the choice between, say, stopping in a Chipotle or a Taco Bell or what's another taco place? A Green Burrito. Yeah, we don't have those around here.
I'm not gonna lie. I eat a lot of gas station food. Those all sound like luxury items to me. So they all sound delicious. Anything outside of an expiration date and a wrapper from a gas station, it might be a little much for me.
I mean, yeah, here. So, I mean, yeah, Craig just mentioned Cal Tort. I mean, so Cal Tort is a local business, is out of Bethesda. And then you have Cafe Rio that started in Utah, and there's a few out here for Mexico. And so
you got Qdoba.
Chipotle. What? And then
Qdoba?
You've got Qdoba. Right. So those are probably the four. Qdoba you don't see a lot of. Cafe Rio's only got maybe
Only is the only one I know of.
half a dozen locations in Maryland and Virginia.
Hmm. I know our former producer, Bats, was a big fan of Cafe Rio. But, I tell you, fast food is, frankly, yeah, fast food is fast food. I'm not a fan of fast food anymore, but it's convenient. Like when I'm driving to Florida, I go to, by the way, that's the one thing, Chris, you need to do when you become a congressman. Bring Love's to the I-68. Bring a Love's truck stop gas station or along 70 and over on 68, because they are the best. Basically, Flying J and Love's, they're like great. Racetrack's good too, but Flying J and Love's is so much better. You go there, you get a variety of food. They have a McDonald's, they got a Wendy's in there, they got a Taco Bell in there sometimes. They got 4 or 5 different restaurants in there, and that just makes it very convenient. And then they got the large selection of their own foods from their various snacks and so on.
I vote for Buc-ee's. I'm sorry, I need a Buc-ee's close by so I can go see this thing.
Oh, there's one in Harrisonburg.
That's not close by, really.
Actually, Don, if we go to the NC State Convention, we'll stop off at a Buc-ee's. We'll take a slight detour and go to the Buc-ee's. There's a Buc-ee's.
I think they were looking at, or then they announced one for Hagerstown area or something like that. So
it's
getting closer, but the station is so large. They do require a lot of land.
I went to the one in Daytona, and let me tell you, good luck finding parking. And people don't, or good luck even getting gas. I was just going there to get gas, but they don't understand the etiquette there, where you're supposed to fill up and then pull into a parking spot, then go in. You just jump out and go in there. It's like an amusement park inside of Buc-ee's.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy though. They have normal station for them is like 72 pumps, but then you got all these people buying gas, and then they're going inside and they're buying merchandise and food out the wazoo, and it's just incredible to see what they have done there. That whole field is kind of interesting, right? You mentioned Flying J and all these things. Pilot is owned by Berkshire Hathaway now. Then you've got the Sheetz Wawa battles.
And by the way, the gas is also fairly reasonably priced at just like it is at Flying J, Pilot, Love's. At Buc-ee's, gas is pretty inexpensive too, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And I'm just amazed how nice they are. It's clean, like we've gone to a Flying J we stopped off at once in Emporia, Virginia, you've been with me there. We went to the pizza place across the street, Pino's. But yeah, anyways, enough about food. We've got a lot of news to cover this week. A lot of crazy stuff happening. I would like to start with Keith Ellison and his little very arrogant testimony before Congress. I love how Hawley and Senator Johnson just went after him, and he is so smug and so arrogant. I just, how does this guy get elected to Attorney General from the state of Vin Weber, David Dernberger, and Rudy Boschwitz?
The Somalis and the Muslim vote is how he probably did it.
Yeah, that's why and the SAFE Act did pass Congress. And I think we've got a partial government shutdown.
Yep.
But
yeah, come on. Yeah. Minnesota is really different than the days of Vin Weber, though.
Yeah, it is. Remember, Walter Mondale was he was the senator from Minnesota for a number of years too.
Oh yeah, and Hubert Humphrey.
Yeah, Hubert Humphrey.
And Amy Klobuchar will probably be the next governor.
I don't know. Maybe if we could find a good candidate, maybe is David Dernberger still with us anymore? Senator Dernberger, is he still with us? Or Vin Weber?
Carlson's coming back either. But Vin Weber, where did he represent? I would imagine not Minneapolis or.
I think it was like the Panhandle area, maybe. But remember, Vin used to be a regular at Free Congress. Remember, he used to come into Free Congress a lot.
Yeah.
Vin Weber.
And remember, we've had the last Republican, I think, to win statewide in Minnesota would be what, Pawlenty, right? Tim Pawlenty?
Tim Pawlenty.
Unless Tim Pawlenty wants to make a no,
There you
Ferraro's
go.
New York.
We got the smartest listeners anywhere.
She's Geraldine Ferraro represented AOC's district, basically AOC's district. Yeah. Which would be Queens.
Yeah, she was from Queens, Craig. She was her favorite TV show was All in the Family.
Yep, from Queens. Who Archie lived in Queens. Archie is from Queens.
Astoria, Queens.
That's right. And Donald Trump was from Queens.
Yeah, as is Kevin James's character from King of Queens. Yeah. Lived in Astoria. As did also in if you go back to the Secret War, not Secret Wars, I think it was the Dark Phoenix saga in Marvel. She was in Jamaica, Queens. Actually, I had a friend from Jamaica, Queens. Over at when I was over from GW days, but yeah. But
I think a good candidate. I would think Republicans would have a shot in Minnesota, but I don't know anymore. I mean, I think Minnesota's always close for us to win, but we never seem to. It always seems close, like a mirage. So, and remember, one year we did a convention. We had a national convention in Minnesota. So we've always thought it was a potential, but never really come through.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tim Pawlenty was, I think he was elected, and I think that may have been the last, but I don't give up hope, frankly. The fact that I live in Maryland proves that I don't give up hope, When all hope is lost, you never know when there's going to be a Larry Hogan or Bob Ehrlich coming down the pike, frankly, or a Chris Burnett who will take back 6.
That's what I'm holding out for. Hope this guy can pull it off.
Yeah, but we've got, and I tell you, the Democrat. By the way, Jamie Raskin. I don't know if you heard. I don't know if April Delaney weighed in on this, but do you know women are incapable of getting a new driver's license after they get married? I mean, Chris, does she not have a driver's license? She's a woman and she can't obtain ID.
Amazingly, she found a way.
How did she do that?
All of the adversity.
I know she triumphs in the face of adversity. She first of all, she found her way to get to the DMV.
Yes.
She suffered through the 6-hour wait at the DMV.
Now, the other layer to this, my wife came from Guinea in West Africa. So she came here as a political asylee. She's a naturalized U.S. citizen. Mm-hmm. She's married to me. Despite all of that, she has managed to vote.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
That's
not too much to ask.
That's baffling, and she was able to obtain her birth certificate.
It's funny how they
all joking aside, if you just would have to bring your marriage license, if there is a mismatch between your birth certificate and your driver's license, you bring your marriage license. Like this is not too high of a standard.
Yeah. And this is what I can't get. Jamie Raskin and Elizabeth Warren and what's her name? The Indian one, Pamela something or other.
Jayapal, Premier Jayapal.
Yeah, and she, they all go, first of all, Americans move on average every 7 years, right? Like Dave, you used to live in Manassas, right?
Yeah.
And your driver's license had your Manassas address.
Yeah.
And when you moved back to McLean, were you able to get a new driver's license with the new address on there?
No, and I vote where I am, and the license has me at a different address, and it doesn't matter. I just tell them where I'm living, and I show my license.
Oh, obviously your license isn't expired yet. When it expires, they'll have to change.
Yeah. I guess that's right. Correct. But my address has been updated with the DMV,
Okay.
but they don't send me another license.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the DMV knows where you live. So like when you drive and you get a, do you guys have speed cameras in Virginia? Because we have a lot of those in Maryland.
Yeah, I think they brought them back, sadly.
So when they get a ticket, they know exactly. They're not going to send it to your Manassas home. They'll send it
Right,
to your
right.
McLean home.
Yep.
And that's the point is, if people can do that. And by the way, I believe women move too, and it's not just men that move. I think women move as well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they also have to get new IDs to show where they live and so on.
My biggest. Yeah. I was going to say my biggest pet peeves, now that you mention it, and I'll get off this really quick. Seatbelt laws, red light cameras, and speeding cameras. I don't like them.
Seatbelt laws, that's
more
of, okay. Now, do you feel that if you're not wearing a seatbelt and you're flung through the windshield of your car and you become an invalid, do you feel the taxpayer should pay for your and get permanent disability and all that stuff?
I don't think it has anything to do. The law has anything to do with people putting their seatbelt on. I think people put their seatbelt on for social pressure and also to avoid the red light beeping in their car. I don't think it has anything to do with the law. Maybe at one time it did. I don't think it has to do with it anymore.
Yeah, but see, seatbelts is about safety. It's basically, it's like those people that don't like motorcycle helmet laws. Okay, fine. So if you crash, do I have to pay for your health care because you don't have health insurance?
Well, I don't know. They may have health insurance, but it's like if we have gun laws saying I can't carry a gun on this property, would that gun law really change my behavior?
No, but gun laws is a different thing because that's in the Constitution. There's no right in the Constitution that you don't have to wear a seatbelt.
Yeah, well, the gun law doesn't deter anyone from bringing a gun on that property, really, or at least a bad person. And a seatbelt law is not really going to stop anyone from wearing or not wearing a seatbelt.
No, but my point is,
the problem with the seatbelt law is it's an excuse for them to pull you over and write up a ticket.
That's
why they do it.
It's a secondary offense.
It's a secondary offense in Maryland.
Oh, is it primary in Maryland? Yeah, it is.
It's a primary. I got pulled over once. I didn't have a seatbelt. And I tried to explain to the officer that I come from a superior state where they can't pull us over for a seatbelt. But then he informed me that I was in the state of Maryland. So they could.
By the way, here's the fun. Back when seatbelt laws came to New York City, they had this shirt called the cheat belt. And it had a belt so you could drive around without a seatbelt. And this is like probably the 80s. Because I remember there was a 60-minute segment on that too, the cheat belt shirt. And evidently, I think it was Ed Koch who was the mayor, goes, if you're caught with a cheat belt shirt, you're going to triple the fine.
I knew someone that wanted to put a mannequin in his car to get by HOV rules, have a mannequin in the car.
I've heard of that.
And then they wouldn't.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the what do you call? In Virginia, you got the Easy Pass. You could flip a switch, right, where you can just say you're to use HOV. If you got more than 2 people in the car, you can use the HOV lanes for free. Is there a way they can check that there really are? You could just flip the switch if you're just alone in the car, right?
I don't know. I think if you have the Easy Pass, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
They let you go.
Just flip it and use it. You could say you've got 3 people in your car when it's only 1 person.
Yeah.
You could game the system, but that'd be wrong.
Yeah. Well, people do.
But, I mean, the Democrats have just gotten off hinge on the SAFE Act, frankly. They're, what do they have against? Don't they want to keep President Trump from cheating so he can't steal another election? Like, they all claim that he stole this last election.
Well, it's amazing that they all take the same talking points, like the woman who gets married, then she won't be able to vote. Yeah. I think they kind of realize that they can't just play on race on this one, because a lot of people may be offended by
the thing is, they tried the race thing, right? I mean, you had them talking about it, but then the polls came out that minorities want these laws, so they got to go to the next victim group, women.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet majority of women would want ID laws too, frankly.
Yeah, I think it's exactly right. They shifted victim because I think people were getting offended, saying this is truly offensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're saying that based on some racial component, I'm less capable of what you described earlier of my wife having navigated the complicated web of photo ID so that she could vote. The whole argument is flawed. And the thing is, Raskin was a constitutional law professor. He knows better.
But that was the Russian Constitution that he's a scholar of. It's the Russian Constitution he's a scholar of. So
maybe.
Look, we did an article, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about all the things you need IDs for. Yeah. I mean, this is racist on the part of the Democrats, frankly, if you ask me. They're saying that minorities can't obtain IDs. How are they opening up bank accounts? Forget even a bank account. If they want a library card, as Arthur taught us, you can, if you want to have fun, all you need is a library card,
But I went to the Library of Congress yesterday. I had to kill some time.
Yeah.
I needed to get a photo ID from the Library of Congress to go into a reading room.
Yep.
So yesterday, I got a Library of Congress ID with my photo on it just so I could go into a reading room and kill some time.
And did you know Montgomery County has a series of places where you can go use their gym facilities for free?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and they also have free pools where you can go, swim around for free. And you know what? All you need to do is go to a library and fill out a form, and you got to show your ID. I think Montgomery County is waging war on minorities and women by requiring IDs to get library cards and these rec passes. Frankly.
The other way to look at this is if you have trouble getting a photo ID, you've got a lot bigger problems than just not being able to vote. I mean, you couldn't buy a drink. You couldn't open a bank account. You couldn't get a credit card. You couldn't get on an airplane. You couldn't buy. I mean, if they could card you, you can go in any bar and they could card you, even if you're well over 21. So it just seems to me that if you can't get to the point where you can get a photo ID, you've got bigger problems than
if you want to testify in the city or county level a venue, you have to show an ID. So if you want to
go into the state capitol building, Chris, you need to show an ID. You get in there.
Yeah.
I remember once I was there and I forgot my driver's license. And this is back when Governor Ehrlich was governor. Governor couldn't get me, the governor couldn't get me in because I didn't have my ID with me.
Get it.
Members of Congress, they need to put the little, their little card. Here's the Congressman Cloud, put the image where you drop in a card, then it verifies who you are, and then you get to vote. Why would we not expect anything more? Shouldn't our elections be as secure as the elections we had in Iraq during the provisional government?
They put dye on your finger, remember? They put dye on your finger or something.
And all of these countries, Great Britain, France, India, Japan, Holland, Denmark, they all require IDs. These are Western democracies, and they require an ID to vote. Mexico requires an ID to vote. Why are we the only country that, because frankly, and this has become more of a problem when places like Tacoma Park and College Park are letting illegal aliens vote. But they're registering with the Board of Elections. So once they're in the system, they can go and vote for president, even though they say, they're only allowed to vote for local elections. There's no designations once you filled out that form. There's no way to prevent people from voting in City of Rockville elections or Tacoma Park elections if you're not a citizen.
Oftentimes, if you don't have an ID, they'll accept what's called a verbal attestation that, yes, this is who I am. And of course, I wouldn't lie. And in the absence of an ID, you actually can't establish that there was any fraud. So it's almost like you're eliminating the possibility of accountability. So you say, well, there's no evidence of this. And it's like, well, because the process you use prevents the accumulation of evidence. This is indefensible.
And in Virginia, the old ID laws, when Governor McDonald was governor, the ID laws, all you had to do is bring a piece of mail, a utility bill, a bank bill,
there's certain things
that served as your ID.
Yeah.
I mean, are we
no
saying
picture ID? In other words, not a photograph ID, which is
what is it? I was talking to somebody go, you could use a Costco card as your ID because it has your picture and name on it. That's how low the bar was.
Yeah.
For the IDs. And are you telling me that people are they now saying these people are too stupid to have utility bills in their names? You know, it's patently offensive. If you're a minority and you're listening to this, it is offensive. If you're a woman, you're offended by this. They're just saying you're too stupid to know how to get a new ID with your married name on it, frankly. You know, and I know Elizabeth Warren went on a tirade. Well, if you're a single mother, how are you going to have time? Well, maybe if you guys wouldn't have a bureaucracy of the DMV, it wouldn't take a whole day to get a new ID with your new name on it, frankly. And by the way, if she's a single woman, why does she need to change her name, on her ID?
She had time to get pregnant. She should have time to get a new ID, I guess.
Yeah.
But
you know, nothing's changed. If she's not married, right? If she's a single mom, why does she need to have her ID changed? Elizabeth Warren, you know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I agree.
Leave it to Democrats to basically, insult the intelligence of every one of their constituents. I don't know how anybody can be a Democrat in this day and age with the way they insult your intelligence, frankly. For the fact that it is like, you're too stupid to do this, you're too stupid to do that, you know. I mean, they use the same line of for every other things that we want to have, you know. Oh, they're too dumb to get that. They're too dumb to, you know. It's like, no, they're not. Democrats, you know. Yeah.
It's sort of a patronizing George W. Bush's line, the soft bigotry of low expectations. It's sort of a patronizing thing where they just figure, I'm doing this for you because you're too stupid. I'm smart enough, but you're too stupid.
That's what affirmative action is. Yeah, that is exactly what affirmative action is. Hey, you know, you're not smart enough to compete on this, so I'm going to lower the bar for you so you can get across, you know, and it's the same thing, you know, and that's also inherently racist and offensive, frankly, affirmative action. Saying that.
And it is insulting. And my wife from West Africa, she doesn't understand these, like when we'll talk about it, and she doesn't understand why there should be a different standard and how it's not seen as anything other than condescending. I don't mean to speak for her, but it's, you know, whenever we have these conversations, I'm always shocked by her reaction to them, which is, this is offensive. Like, this is not. And then I have my kids who are biracial, and they view this as like why am I being viewed differently by just sheer, the most superficial of appearances? I mean, it is absolutely this veiled racism, condescending. And I mean, between my wife and my kids, I'm always shocked that this argument resonates across the Democrat Party, because there's no way it's, in my opinion, again, it's indefensible, but yet here we are.
I've got a friend of mine. He was an immigrant from Ethiopia. He's living the American dream. He had a IT business, very successful IT business. And you know what? He did not do it. He did not go for an 8A status. He didn't put the business in his wife's name to get a woman-owned business designation. He played on the same field as the SAIC. Well, SAIC is actually, he started off as an 8A company, but, you know, with the Booz Allens of the world, you know, he basically played on that level, and he got contracts because his work spoke for itself. You know, that's why I really hope the Trump administration does revisit these 8A programs, frankly, for contractors. What I find is most of these 8A companies they're nothing more than
shell.
Yeah, and what they do is they become subs to the SAICs, the Leidos, and so on. And most of the employees are on their payroll, but they just have, you know, everything's being done by, and the game, like ASRC is a large contractor They are Alaskan-owned, veteran-owned. They got like a bunch of designations, right? They get a lot of, and what they do is they'll spin off, start a new company. It's like the same way SAIC spun off and created Leidos, when they got too big. And that's what they do. ASRC spins off and starts a new company, every time when they reach the threshold. And ASRC, it's a great company and all that, but that they're just playing by the rules that are out there, frankly. And I think we need to kind of tighten those rules a little bit. But by the way, if April Delaney ever debates you, you need to ask her as a woman, because she was April McLean before she married John Delaney, correct?
That is, yeah, I would think that's a
you should ask her. You should ask her, were you able to get, how many years did it take you to get your new ID with April McLean Delaney, so you could go and get a job and get paid and do an I-9 form and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's insulting. I will remember that if I am fortunate enough that I get to debate her, which I look forward to. I will ask that question.
Yeah, she'll probably duck the debates, but April Delaney, Congresswoman, you're welcome to come on our show next Friday or any Friday. We'd love to have you on.
You should take a page out of John Reed's book and debate her virtually.
That would be a lot of fun to do.
Remember the guy who ran against Cuomo, Mario Cuomo in New York, and Cuomo wouldn't debate him, so he had an empty chair, and he did a little debate.
Was that George Pataki?
Not Pataki, the guy before him. I forgot what the guy's name was. He was an old. He ran a lot. I forgot what his name was.
Was it a Rockefeller?
No, it wasn't a Rockefeller. The Rockefellers were quite, as Don's father could probably tell us, Nelson Rockefeller was quite liberal. He was a Republican, but he was like a John Lindsay in name only. So,
well, Nelson Rockefeller was from that. He came from that reform era of governors, because he did do as and Spiro Agnew is part of that class of the reform era governors. Spiro Agnew, one of the famous lines is he told the Democrats, "Look, I've called out the reprobates in my party. Don't you think you should do the same thing about reprobates in your party?" And Democrats refused to call out racism in their party for the longest time.
Oh yeah, well, I agree. Yeah, but and ID is a good example of that, where you gotta so it is a patronizing aspect. But also, I think it's one of those things that I'm not saying they want fraud, but I think they have this belief that they'll benefit from fraud. So it's like they don't want it to happen, but then again, they're more likely to gain. And if you look at history, that's the case with the Kennedy election in '60, the Chicago machine, things in Louisiana. LBJ, I've heard stories that LBJ, one of his early elections was rigged. That he won on mysterious circumstances, so they may feel it helps them. So,
Chris, final thoughts, the final thing on voter ID laws. How are these people enrolling their kids in schools? Elizabeth Warren's a single mother. How is she enrolled without an ID? How is she enrolling her kids in school? You need to show your address that you are from the county you claim to be from.
Yeah, I hate even to go to a hospital, you would need an ID.
That's true. Yeah.
Even to go there and to become, to receive services.
Yeah.
So again, this to me is they're on the wrong side of 80-20s. This one might be a 90-10, and yet you've got Raskin making the argument. And he really does know better. It's just amazing to me. With a straight face, we'll say this.
But I agree with you, and I do think. We should hit them on when they start talking about how people can't get an ID, or you tell them all the things you can't do if you don't have an ID, and then say, look, if they can't get the ID for all these things in life, just general things to do, voting is really the least of their problems. It really is. You can't. I'm not going to repeat the list, but all these things that you can't do if you don't have an ID.
Yeah.
So. But what? Every 2 years you can vote. Every 4 years you can vote. You can't do anything else. But 2 years from now you can vote. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and as Dwight alluded to, I mean, you have other countries, like Korea, you basically have a national ID. And that's, any interaction you have with anybody requires that. Like if you go to a police station or whatever, they want to know they want to see your ID. They want to know what your registration number is. You have to you have all these things you have to do. The society functions just fine. Nobody complains about that, so you won't have voter fraud because everybody's got an ID, right? You have to have one. So yeah, what is so difficult about an ID? What is so difficult about the women changing their name? I mean, the majority of people I know, when they got married, they immediately changed their ID. They started the process and just took care of whatever they needed to do, which is mainly the driver's license, right? That's you want a government issued ID, but if they were going to have separate bank accounts or whatever, they might want to update at least their name. That's driven a lot by Social Security numbers and stuff like that. But it's not that difficult. But the Democrats, as you guys are saying, they've made this offensive. They made it seem like women are too stupid, and that this is just a racist attack to say that, it's too hard to change. It's not. There are things that are hard to change. I mean, my wife got a credit card with Capital One, and I think apparently when I set that up, I may have mistyped her or put the wrong birthday in for some reason, and that we can't. As a result of that, while we can use the card, we cannot get into her account electronically to check anything. We can't add me as an authorized user. And it's this vicious circle. And my wife calls them and they say, well, submit your ID, and so she does. She submits her driver's license to their automated program. Well, because the birth dates apparently don't match, the automated program rejects it. So they say, well, then you'll have to submit it for a human to review. She did that, waited the requisite, 2 weeks, and they came back and they said, please submit it this way. And we're like, but we already submitted it. What happened to the human?
Capital One has not been a good bank in a while. I don't like the fact they've shut down so many of their branches. They've gone to this boutique branch, where they want to have a cafe instead of having a real bank. I don't like that, frankly. I don't like the fact that now my card is tied to Discover, opposed to being a MasterCard debit card. It's now a Discover card, and I'm willing to bet my GM Capital One card is going to be turned into probably a Discover Capital One GM card.
They bought Discover because they wanted access to the payment network, which they did not have before. Discover has access to the payment network, which will lower, the fees that Capital One had to pay before, because now they're running a network and now they're going to collect fees, payment fees for people who use the Discover card. So, I think, for them long term and their shareholders, that's going to be a wonderful deal. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be people who don't like the Discover card. There's no doubt. It's not as widely accepted or widely known, as MasterCard and Visa. I mean, those are the behemoths, and that's what you expect to get is a card branded with either a Visa or MasterCard logo.
And Costco's only takes MasterCard.
Costco
is it Visa or MasterCard? They were taking.
It's a Citibank Visa.
Didn't they switch to MasterCard though?
They were American Express before.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Yeah.
But interestingly enough, though, so Sam's Club basically makes MasterCard their preferred payment card, but they accept any card pretty much almost at the checkout. So they'll take that. Whereas you've got to have a Visa card to pay, at Costco. But Visa, it's very, lots of people have, plenty of Visa cards and MasterCards in their wallets, so it's not usually an issue.
Yeah, no, it's not. But it's just, I liked it when they took AMX because you got a little bit of extra when you did the AMX card. When they were taking AMX, I like that better than even Visa. Visa's everywhere I want to be, though, as they say, right?
Well, I mean, look, I mean, here, so the Costco program is they've got two things in there. What, right? One, you and I are executive members, right, Dwight?
Mhm.
So we get 2% back on every purchase because we pay the extra $65 a year. But if you have the Citibank Visa, you'll get a 2% at the end every year, based on your anniversary or whatever it is.
Mhm.
So that's the kicker. 2% in the credit card, rebate is good. I mean, there are very few places that will pay you more than that on a consistent basis. A lot of cards will say, 2%, for these items for this quarter or three, maybe they might go a little higher for another item or whatever. But oh yeah, and the other thing about the Costco card too is like they up their gas to 5% rebate. If you're
Mhm.
doing travel, it's 3%. So
Yeah.
they've built in a few things in there to make it attractive to use their card.
And butter the Citibank Costco card. I think the rewards are better than say the Delta Airlines Sky Miles card that you get from which bank does that? Is it Bank of America or BB&T that used to do
Yeah,
the
I don't
Sky
know. I
Miles?
don't remember who's behind well, Delta does most of their stuff with Amex.
But they also have because I know BB&T. This is like years ago. Then again, BB&T is not in, so they may not be there. But they had a card, and then American Airlines had their Citibank card. And Southwest has it through Chase Bank, I think. But Costco's, I think you get. I think I get better rewards and points using the Costco's card than the.
I don't fly as much as I used to when I was working for AIM, so I'm more interested in getting the cash back than earning miles in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still have gas cards? My father had one when I was a kid. Do they still have gas cards?
I think they still make. I think they still do, but they're like Exxon is like a Mastercard or a Visa. I forget what Exxon is. It's Exxon Mobil.
I mean, you're talking about like when the oil companies would issue their own card.
Yeah. Remember those days? My father used to have an Exxon card. It looked so cool because when I was a kid, I saw it. It looked like the sign Exxon.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I had those when I was younger. But they have largely branded with with Visa and MasterCard because that they can earn more money that way. It's a better system for them, and they don't have to handle themselves.
And Don, you and I are old enough to remember. Maybe Chris remembers, but do you remember when Sears used to issue their own cards? Then Sears also went with a Sears Visa card. Macy's used to do their own credit card, store card, and they switched that to Macy's.
Well, Sears, they went, so they were known for their retail, and then they expanded, and they bought like Dean Witter, I think it was, or something like that.
Yep, Dean Witter. Yep.
Yeah, and then they also had Discover. So they actually there's a Sears Discover card. They were trying to give you investment advice and all this kind of stuff. They were trying to be a supermarket for a lot of different things. That may have been a little bit ahead of its time, in a lot of ways.
Remember, H&R Block was part of Sears too.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things now, and now we're seeing, we just saw in the stock market this week that AI has been hurting a lot of these companies. The stock market says, "Oh, AI can actually do this, that, and the other," and so there's been a bloodbath this week on a lot of companies that were thought to be impenetrable, and all of a sudden they're like, "No, if you're into tax prep and you're in some investment advice, I mean, Schwab and Raymond James and a bunch of guys, took a hit. So a lot of private credit companies took a hit. It was kind of an interesting week. I think, like a lot of things, it's overblown, especially when you get a company that had been known for karaoke music, and they said, "Well, we've developed this AI tool to do this stuff," and like, really?
Well, by the way, Don, is the stock market crossed the 50,000 mark? Is that Donald Trump's fault too? Do we blame President Trump for our 401ks?
I don't. As someone who's watched the financial markets for 40 years, 45 years, I don't give credit or give blame to a president for which way the market goes, because they are really separate things. The stock market is, they're trying to look and figure out where we're going to be in 6 to 12 months from now. The president has an effect, or at least the party has an effect in terms of, are we going to have interest rates? What do they expect joblessness to be? Policy will play a part, but the president himself generally is not someone who can influence the market too much.
And the stock market does look at things. Better days are ahead of us, frankly.
It's also predicting the future. It's also
look at all
forecasting.
Right.
Yeah, and look at all the jobs that were
looking ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Forward looking.
And the January jobs numbers, I think February is going to be even higher than that. And I think
inflation at 2.4%.
Yeah, but things are still. We need to get those numbers down. At the people, inflation at 2% doesn't mean that it's gone down. It's just slowed down.
2.4.
Yeah,
2.4.
But what I'm saying is, what we need to do is actually figure out. Basically the problem is, I think the biggest thing is on the affordability side. People still go to the grocery store and see that a pound of butter is $5.
Yeah, because it's inflation on top of other inflation. So your rates come down, which is great. But I don't know that he can do much. I don't know that you can expect too much more than that, because unless you go through a deflationary period.
I will say, Don, Frito-Lay, I did notice that their prices have come down.
McDonald's prices have come down too. McDonald's, I know, are lower.
They brought back the dollar menu.
No,
yeah, I mean, that's why when we started the show, I mean, McDonald's, keeps coming up with these ideas about how to kind of fight this pricing issue. Now the problem is that the franchises, they have a problem because they have costs, and corporate says you need to do this, and so it's sometimes the franchisees they try to fight back a little bit, because that really pinches their profits if they follow corporate, if they're forced to follow corporate. But yeah, they've been introducing a lot of different value type of things to try to bring the cost down for people. I mean, look, my wife and I, we mentioned these Mexican places. This Cafe Rio, what they've apparently decided, they're taking a stab at affordability. They have now done. They're going up until March 1st. They're doing a 2 for $20 meal, which is it's 2 entrees, 2 soft drinks, and chips and queso for $20. That's $40 worth of their food. That's significant. How they're making any money off of that at this point in time, I don't know.
That's true. I tell you, I think that, but I tell you, I'm very optimistic. I'm generally an optimistic person in general. I think summertime comes, we're going to see a roaring economy come the summer months. I mean, we'll be, celebrating America 250. It'll be, I think it'll be kind of like, remember the bicentennial, we had the hippies, we had the anti-war peaceniks and all those people around. But I think we came together as a nation in 1976 to celebrate the bicentennial. Although good money says we're not going to come together, because we've had 2 generations of anti-American teaching in the public school systems, according to Chris Plant this morning, he was talking about it. And, he does have a point there. He does have a point. We only had a single generation around the time of the bicentennial. This time we've got 2 generations, are raised in schools, teaching how America's a horrible country, and this and that. But yet no one else wants to go anywhere else. They'll talk about how bad it is. They don't seem to understand. It is because of America you can say America's a bad country, and you're not dragged off into the gulags. No matter what Chuck Schumer says.
Well, at the end of the day, it's easy to complain. It's hard to build. It's hard to support something that maybe not has soft edges. And I think we've just reached a point now where not only do we tolerate the whining, it's almost as if it's being celebrated. So I'm hopeful that this summer we have an opportunity as a nation to reflect on this incredible history, good and bad, of the greatest country in the world, and that we're going to continue down that path to work through our differences and basically aspire to what's next. But this idea of whining, complaining, and celebrating this it doesn't have a place at the where we've put it, which is at the top of the pecking order in terms of our national discourse. We have to correct that.
I think this all goes back, I think, to the Obamas. Remember Michelle Obama said she was first time she was proud of this country was when Obama became president. She wasn't proud when we put a man on the moon. She was not proud when we defeated communism. She was not proud when we won World War II and World War I. I mean, those are points of being prideful of our nation. I mean, what is that, Michelle? I mean, care to explain? Was she? I mean, America cheered. When Miracle on Ice happened, 1980. There's a lot more. This country is responsible for more good in this world than the bad, frankly. If you write it up as a ledger, pluses and minuses, we got way more pluses than minuses, frankly. But we're at final thoughts. It's 1 after the hour, So let's start off final thoughts. Chris, what's happening with the campaign this week?
Well, another really busy and productive week. I spent quite a bit of time down at the Capitol Hill Club this week, meeting with different folks, really meeting with a lot of veteran members. And that's been extremely helpful to sort of talk through running on a military record, where your military record could find certain committees and assignments. It's been a very productive week in that regard. But a lot of this week has also been getting out the word for the Innovation Corridor Town Hall that we're running next Tuesday. And that's really my early proposal for addressing affordability through opportunity. And this idea that you've got Trone and Delaney talking about affordability, probably the two least qualified people to even say the word affordability on behalf of anyone, touting this as a national talking point and chasing away ICE facilities up in Hagerstown, they could not be further from the mark. So on Tuesday, I'm going to present my innovation corridor. And as you've heard me talk about before, it starts with the American Legion Bridge, getting that expanded and updated, looking at existing spots along 270, I-70, I-68, and I-81 for either existing commercial or industrial sites, creating opportunity zones at the county and state level, and then looking for AI, quantum computing, and advanced manufacturing. And the way I set this up, I'll present it for about 15 or 20 minutes, answer questions. We've invited the media out, and we're expecting a lot of the local media outlets to be present. And then we're going to also record it and send it out with a press release before and after. But the other part of this is I've invited all of the Montgomery County Republican candidates for them to present their economic development proposals, both at the municipal and county level, and then how they would take steps to effectuate the innovation corridor. I realize there's only so much I can do at the federal level. Really, I'm looking at federal highway funds, CHIPS Act, the Infrastructure Act. I'm looking at putting money on the table to guide what would be county and state level initiatives. So I brought in all of those candidates so the media could cover all of the Montgomery County candidates at once, and that we are all presenting solutions to the issue of affordability. So most of this week has been spent setting the conditions and prepping for that. And that'll be Tuesday night at the Mission Barbecue in Germantown. And then later next week, Kadiatu and I are going to be at the Lincoln Douglas Freedom Dinner next Friday. We're looking forward to that together.
With Winsome Sears.
Yes, exactly. So looking forward to it. Should be another busy week.
Yeah. I may actually be there too, actually. I really hate they do it on Fridays. This traffic is so bad getting to Annapolis on Fridays.
Yeah.
But anything else?
That's it. That's a big one. You know, I may head out to Annapolis on Monday night. Senator McKay is doing his an event Monday night. So a lot of folks from Garrett and Allegheny are going to go out for that. So I may head down to Annapolis on Monday just to see Senator McKay and some of those folks that are going to be in town for the dinner.
Also, you should reach out to Senator Johnson's office. Senator Johnson spoke on behalf of a previous candidate who ran in a primary in CD6.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he's receptive, and maybe get him to come out and do an event for you.
Yeah, we have several events coming up in March, and obviously I'll talk about them coming up. But we've got a couple a winery early in March. We're going to be back at First Breach mid-March. We're doing the Congressional Country Club on the 11th, and we've got a gun bash at the end of March, which I've been selling raffle tickets for.
Give me some dates also that you have open where we could do something for you as well.
It's great out. I'll send you a text offline, but no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's all I got. That's a lot.
Hey, Dave, final thoughts.
Hey, well, yeah, I was happy to see the new jobs number and the lower inflation, which I think is good at 2.4%, the growth. Not looking forward to it, but I think we'll have a government shutdown tomorrow at 12:01. And it'll affect DHS. I don't think it'll last too long, but another Schumer shutdown. The first one didn't work out for him that well, and I don't think this one will either.
Hey, Dave, why are we saying it's going to shut down? Because normally the government does shut down at Fridays at 5 o'clock.
Oh yeah,
it does shut down until Monday.
Yeah,
and around 9 o'clock is when it opens up again. I mean,
it's because the money runs out and anybody won't get paid starting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's true.
And check out my Substack account. Producing more and more columns and my podcast. I'll do one probably this weekend on Spanberger and sort of the bait and switch that we got in Virginia. They've got a horrible redistricting map that they've come out with, where in effect this would make Maryland legislators blush. It's so bold and so brazen. They got five.
I don't know, Dave. It takes a lot for Maryland legislators to blush.
They got 5 districts coming out of Northern Virginia, and then they swoop down through the state to get up all the red areas, and then same thing with Hampton Roads. They really couldn't touch Southwestern Virginia, so that'll be the one Republican seat. So it'll be like 10-1. They're looking at. So. Yeah, it's brazen, and I mean, had Abigail Spanberger said, "Yeah, I'm going to rig all the congressional districts, but one," yeah, she wouldn't have been elected. But yeah, she's a complete 100% fraud. Well, anyway, but check that out. Should be this weekend, and I'll get that up. And otherwise, I'm looking forward to warmer weather. I think we may hit 50. Potentially this weekend, or maybe it's early next week. I, for one, was not happy with the frigid temperatures we had last week.
Hey, Dave, how is snow removal in Virginia? Are your streets passable?
They're passable, but you still have, and part of this is there's nothing they can really do about it, I guess. We still have pretty major mounds of snow and ice creeping into the road. So you got a 2-lane road if you go down Gallows Road. One of the lanes occasionally will get blocked a little bit, and you have to kind of move over. So that's kind of a pain. But I think if we get a warm weekend like they're saying, that'll help melt a lot of it. But no, it's no fun. I now realize why people leave the Northeast and go Southwest and South. It's not just the high taxes and the bad government. It's also the weather. Because it's not fun, really. So I don't like it. And the last thing I'll leave you with is I know it's I'll end on a positive note. Abraham Lincoln's birthday was yesterday, I believe. So you have the 2 greatest Republican presidents born in February, Reagan and Lincoln. So,
by the way, both from Illinois.
That's right. That's correct.
And we actually have a writer, David Lee. He just did a great piece on, and he's like a post-millennial because he's really a child for all intents and purposes. But he did a really good piece on Lincoln, and he's from Illinois. Really good article, on our club site. Check it out, mcgopclub.com. Check it out. Yeah, a lot.
Thank you, guys.
So Don, you're next.
Okay, just a few things quickly, hopefully. Japan had a snap election. The Prime Minister, Sanai Takaichi, had a sweeping victory. Supermajority in Parliament. No one party has had a supermajority like this in the post-war era. So it's very historic. She's got extremely high popularity ratings. She's very much a Trump person. They have very close relations. Pretty interesting woman. She, when she was younger, she was a drummer in a heavy metal band. She showed off her drumming skills at Davos as well with the South Korean president. So it's kind of, she's an interesting person. Japan seems to be doing pretty good these days. A lot of these world economies are doing pretty well, that have kind of been more of the free market, and UK might become an exception because they're just having all kinds of problems. And
that government might fall. I have a feeling.
Well, that's the thing. That government might fall. Not because of the economic issues. It may fall because of Epstein.
Yeah, Epstein bringing down governments after he committed suicide.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Keir Starmer's got a lot of problems.
Yeah,
he was already trying to figure out how to right the economy, and now he's got Jeffrey Epstein hanging over his head, and it's not.
I almost feel sorry for him. Not to interrupt your time, but I almost feel sorry for him.
Where's John Major when we need him?
Yeah.
Well, the question would be, is that if the government fell, who fills the vacuum? Who's the next liberal party leader? Because we're not talking about an election. We're just talking about the government needing a new prime minister.
Do you think they can pull a government? I mean, here's the thing: if say conservative and Nigel Farage's whatever he's calling his party,
reform, UK reform,
they could form a government. When the government falls, they could form a government.
See, our system, even though people think it's flawed and all this kind of stuff, is that you basically have two parties, and you have to negotiate and deal with that. You go overseas, it is a mess. All right, if the British government falls, whoever takes over has got to negotiate a way to try to find a coalition government, probably in all likelihood, to be able to rule or something like that. Things could happen. Weird things can happen. I mean, that happens in a lot of other countries where it's just they're piecing together parts of the right, left, and center, and that all you have to do is get one piece of that to say, I'm done with you, and then the government collapses and you got to start all over again.
Yeah, but wouldn't Labor have enough support so that
Labor would govern? Labor would govern. Yes, Labor would govern, but I think they're going to be severely weakened.
Yeah.
The next election's coming around the pike. I think conservatives, Tories can do well. And remember, the poster child for fallen governments is Italy. Until recently, it's like if it's Tuesday, their government was falling. It's like I've fallen, I can't get up. Was a joke about the Italian governments.
Yeah, that has been a remarkable sign of stability, right? And Maloney been in there. We're just kind of used to Italy just switching things out all the time, and Maloney's just been she's been holding it together. So I mean, Argentina has been pretty stable since Malay's been in there. Things are looking good in a lot of these places that were not as good in the past. Trump made a major decision this past week too to reverse the endangerment finding, and this is going to be a big thing on climate change, pollution rules and things like this. So obviously the liberals are having a conniption fit here about all of this and talking about all the damage it'll do and all this stuff. But I think because we have a conservative Supreme Court that the liberals sue to keep this in effect, they're not likely to find many friends on the Supreme Court.
Well, plus it wasn't a law. Obama never got that codified in law, so it was like
right. So right. I mean, the thing is that you can sue about it. The question is, do you have any standing? Will it actually? How far will it go? Will it even get that far? But if it does, for some reason get that far, it probably doesn't stand the chance of staying because, like you said, it wasn't a law. It's something that Trump can go ahead and just say, I'm reversing the decision here that was made, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So that Yeah, yeah, you know, and I didn't realize that that stop start thing you get with a lot of cars was part of that, which was
Yeah,
kind of annoying, and you know, more
it
than
is. Yeah, I mean, I tell you, I had once a rental when my Yukon was in the shop, and I had this Malibu, a great car, but it would stall. Let me tell you, I was afraid to merge sometimes because I was afraid the engine was going to cut out in the middle of the merge, frankly.
but yeah, you kind of like, at first when I first got in the car, I'm like, what is wrong? What's wrong with this car?
Yeah.
And all that. And then finally, Cuba is running out of oil. This is a major crisis. This is a result of, you know, Trump cutting off Venezuela. Basically, the regime change in Venezuela, or the attempted regime change in Venezuela, having a major effect since Cuba relied on Venezuelan oil. And you know, they're telling planes not to land there because they can't refuel them. The country will have a problem too, because they run on generators often, the homes and things like
Yeah.
that. So this is going to be a major problem. There are, you know, weeks away from having no oil in essence.
You just
So
think, and then a few months later, we could do it. We could actually, that's when we could plan the invasion of Cuba, right? Because we'll have no resistance. The radar, all that stuff will be down.
well, can you imagine the fact that, I mean, if we do, you know, are able to basically say, you know, we can get something like free elections and change that country's course.
Yeah.
How many Cubans in Miami, the you know, were probably the retirees would say, I want to go back to the place of my birth. We need to
Hmm.
modernize the country. Their internet sucks. You know, the country is falling apart. There are probably plenty of people that would be willing to go back under a free regime, you know, and say, yes, no, we would love to go back and help rebuild this country and modernize it. So,
Although, as Thomas Jefferson said, Cuba one day would be part of America. You know, it could be the state of South Florida. You know.
yeah, I don't know. Rename it for Trump. I don't know.
Yeah, but that would mean 2 more Democrat senators.
Uh,
You think it'd be you think they'd be Democrat senators
yeah,
in Cuba?
we better think about the calculus there.
But no, but would they be Democrats? Would be more like Republicans because Cubans are in general.
Probably be a relative of Fidel Castro in the Congress. And that's the thing about, not to keep going, but one quick second. That's the problem with Canada, making Canada a state. You're gonna have, it's like another California, and you have 2 lefties. Unless you want to break off some of the western provinces and bring them in and give them 2 senators alone, you know.
We make Canada a territory like Puerto Rico.
I mean, except for Trump, or maybe he's just, you know, playing around with it. Like, who wants Canada as part of the United States to begin with, right? No.
I want to say Teddy Roosevelt was the last American president that was threatening taking over Canada.
Yeah.
Just let him be, okay? We were doing fine.
I agree. Yeah, it's an odd
50 states is enough.
Yeah. All right, that's it, Dwight. Back to you.
Okay, a couple of things. I don't know how many of you guys have been following the Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott and our illustrious Attorney General Anthony Brown are basically his latest opinion has been interpreted as, hey, IGs, Inspector Generals, we don't have to give you anything. We can redact everything. I mean, this is on the heels of all the corruption going on in Baltimore City. You have these folks that are, you know, spending money, COVID money, $500,000 for city arts. His wife's nonprofit getting money from the city. There's a story about they cash apped somebody $300, but there is no way of knowing who they cash apped it to because they redacted all that. Why is all these redactions? Why is Attorney General Brown taking part in this cover-up? And this is also, it's not just a Baltimore problem. This is going to affect inspector generals in all of Maryland's 23 counties and Baltimore City because of the result of Anthony Brown. One would say, you know, if someone is more cynical, might say Anthony Brown is protecting his buddy Wes Moore because the Wes Moore administration has its share of scandals, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
What about Brandon? What about Scott's $163,000 Jeep?
I know, you know, he could have bought a Cadillac Escalade for less. And Brandon, Brandon.
Now there are upgrades on that for security purposes, but still.
Yeah, but he could have gotten an Escalade with his upgrades for less than $163,000. And wouldn't you really? I mean, it's a Cadillac, not a Jeep, for crying out loud.
Seriously.
It's like the American aspirational car is not the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. It's the Cadillac. It used to be the Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham for many years. But I mean, so yeah, keep an eye on it. We've been covering it on our Substack as well as the Montgomery County Republican Club. We've been covering the shenanigans happening in Baltimore City quite closely. This past week, we had a shooting at Wooten High School. We've got a couple of great follow-up articles on that. We had an article on that the day after it happened about Wooten High School and how Montgomery County in the COVID era got rid of SROs, and they replaced them with what do they call them? Community response people or whatever. And
Dwight, both of my kids go to Wooten.
Yeah, and they have the SRO there that they have was dealing with a problem at elementary school. Why don't we have SROs in the middle schools as well? And the elementary, that's what our state's prosecutor has said. We should have SROs in every single school, elementary, middle school, and high school, But people like Will Jawanda, who led the charge, and Evan Glass and Mark Elrick, every Democrat on the county council led the charge for removing the SROs because they felt bad. It's, a tragedy, and my last of the political final thoughts is that why are Democrats against jobs in Western Maryland? An ICE facility would create jobs for people, high-paying jobs for people in Western Maryland, the people who need it the most. Why is April Delaney and David Trone and every other Democrat in the state of Maryland against creating jobs? Is this because most of the people there are Republicans? They don't want to give Republicans jobs? Is that what it is? Is this all political? I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know, It just kind of, it makes you wonder, because they were like all happy about having an FBI facility in Prince George's County, but they don't want an ICE facility in Washington County. I mean, creates jobs. Just like that FBI headquarters would have created jobs in Prince George's County. I don't know. Democrats want to keep Republicans unemployed, I guess, maybe. But on a much happier note, the Shamrock Shake's available on the 17th. And we are almost done with this winter. We're about 2 weeks away from March and going back to daylight savings time. We're about a month away from that. I hate this standard time stuff, frankly. I like daylight savings time. And I think we should have that all year round, frankly. But that's about it. And support our sponsors like Masoni's Restaurant in Perry Hall, Maryland. It's out in Baltimore County. It's 57 miles roughly for all of us, maybe about 67 miles away for Dave. But it's well worth the drive to Masoni's. Yeah. And with that, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Enjoy the weekend.
Yep.
You too.
Let's go down to Masoni's, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down to Masoni's, we'll have a good old time. Homemade pasta at Masoni's, sauce is fresh